Title: The Man Who Sold Stone to a Nation That Had No Roads. Part 1. Seeing the Invisible Customer. What if I told you that the richest man in Africa built his cement empire by selling to people who, on paper, could not afford to buy? In 2002, most of Nigeria was still built with mud blocks, borrowed wood, and hope. Cement was for government projects and the very rich. The average Nigerian builder thought cement was a luxury, not a necessity. Imported cement arrived at the ports, expensive and inconsistent. Projects stalled. Buildings collapsed. The dream of owning a home felt like chasing harmattan wind. Then Dangote Cement did something strange. Instead of asking, "Who can buy cement today?" they asked, "Who will need cement tomorrow, even if they do not know it yet?" That one question changed everything. If you are an entrepreneur, unemployed, underemployed, or looking for your next idea, this story is for you. Because Dangote Cement in Nigeria did not just sell a product. They created a customer. They tested, failed, listened, and tested again. And in that process, they wrote a playbook for identifying potential customers and testing products that you can use, whether you are selling Accra or an app. In Part 1, we will unpack how Dangote Cement in Nigeria found people who were not yet customers and turned them into loyal buyers. We will compare them to other companies that missed the signs. And we will pull out the first 3 of 8 principles you can use today to identify your potential customer and test your product. Let us start where most companies refuse to look, in the dust. Principle 1. Start with the problem, not the product. Most companies build cement and then look for buyers. Dangote Cement in Nigeria did the opposite. They studied the problem first. In the early 2000s, Nigeria had a housing deficit of over 17 million units. But the real problem was not the number. The real problem was trust. Builders did not trust cement quality. They did not trust supply. A bag of cement could cost one price on Monday and double by Friday. So people built with what they trusted: mud, laterite, and whatever was available. Dangote's team went to building sites in Port Harcourt, Kano, and Lagos. Not to sell, to watch. They saw masons mixing cement with too much sand to stretch it. They saw contractors abandon projects halfway because a truck of cement did not arrive. They saw families saving for 5 years to buy blocks, only to watch them crumble in the rain. The Dangote difference. They defined their potential customer as anyone losing money or time because cement was unreliable. That included small block makers, not just Julius Berger. Compare with other companies. Many foreign cement brands entered Nigeria targeting only large construction firms. They built beautiful brochures and waited for big contracts. They ignored the man making 20 blocks a day in Mile 1, Port Harcourt. Yet those small block makers, together, bought more cement than 3 big firms combined. For you, your potential customer is not always the one with cash today. It is the one with a painful, recurring problem your product can solve. Do not ask who will buy this. Ask whose day gets ruined if this problem continues. How to test it. Dangote did not launch nationwide. They picked Sagamu and Ibis. They gave small block makers consistent supply for 60 days and tracked how many more blocks they produced. Blocks per day went up. Wastage went down. That was proof. Principle 2. Map the invisible buyers in the value chain. Who buys cement? The obvious answer, builders. The Dangote answer, everybody between the factory and the final wall. Dangote Cement mapped out all the people who touched cement before it became a house. Block makers, masons, hardware store owners, truck pushers, landlords doing small renovations, women who sold sand at sites. Each group influenced the buying decision, even if they never paid Dangote directly. If a mason told a landlord this cement is strong, the landlord bought it. If a block maker said this one sets faster, builders requested it. The Dangote difference. They trained masons for free. They taught block makers how to mix properly. They gave hardware stores branded paint and signs. They turned influencers into educators. Compare with other companies. A competing brand spent millions on TV ads showing skyscrapers. But the man building a 2-bedroom in Rumokoro does not see himself in a skyscraper. He listens to his mason. The competitor was talking to the wrong person. For you, List everyone who loses if your customer makes a bad choice. Those are your hidden potential customers. Test your product by putting it in their hands first. If nurses trust your health device, doctors will listen. If mechanics prefer your spare part, car owners will ask for it. How to test it? Dangote ran Mason clinics in open markets. Bring your sand. We bring cement. Let us mix together. They measured two things. 1. Did the mason prefer the finish? 2. Did he tell 3 other masons that week? Word of mouth became their lab result. Principle 3. Sell to the future, not the present wallet. Here is the boldest thing Dangote Cement did. They bet on Nigerians who were broke today but would build tomorrow. Look at Port Harcourt. In 2005, many young men were underemployed, but every Sunday, they attended family meetings where land was discussed. When I get small money, I will start my foundation. Dangote saw those conversations as market research, so they created small bag sizes. They allowed hardware stores to sell on credit to known customers. They introduced Pay Small through cooperatives. They were not selling to today's income. They were selling to tomorrow's intention. The Dangote difference, they measured latent demand. That means people who want your product have a use for it, but are blocked by price, access, or knowledge. Compare with other companies. Some cement importers said, Nigerians are too poor for cement. So they focused on government contracts. When government spending slowed, their sales died. Dangote grew because they grew the base of everyday builders. For you, if you wait for customers to have perfect conditions, you will wait forever. Identify people who would use your solution if one barrier was removed. Then test by removing that one barrier on a small scale. How to test it? Dangote picked 200 hardware stores in Rivers State. They offered a starter pack. 10 bags on credit, pay after sales, plus a free mixing demo on Saturdays. 80% of those stores became repeat buyers within 3 months. The test was not, can they pay now? The test was, will they sell out if we remove risk? Why this matters if you are starting small? You might think, but I do not have Dangote's money. Good. Neither did Dangote when he started trading cement in 1978. He began with a loan, a notebook, and a habit of visiting markets himself. The principles above cost more courage than cash. 1. Go where the problem lives. 2. Find who influences the buyer. 3. Bet on intention, not just income. Other companies failed because they stayed in air-conditioned offices. Dangote's managers were in the sun, watching a blockmaker's hands. That is where potential customers stop being statistics and start being people. Mini lesson for unemployed and underemployed readers. Your first potential customer test can be 10 people. Find 10 people with a problem. Offer to solve it manually before you build anything fancy. If 3 pay or refer others, you have a signal. Dangote's first test was not a factory. It was a truck and a promise. Mini lesson for people on Social Security. Your advantage is time to observe. Spend 1 week at the place your idea would be used. A salon, a farm, a junction. Write down every frustration you see. That list is your customer map. We have covered 3 of the 8 principles Dangote Cement in Nigeria uses to identify potential customers and test products. In part 2, we will reveal principles 4, 5, and 6, including how Dangote used failure in the North to win the South, and why they let competitors enter their markets on purpose. In part 3, we will finish with principles 7 and 8, then expose the 3 deadly mistakes other companies make that keep them blind to real customers. We will end with lessons you can apply this week, even if all you have is an idea and a phone. This is how empires are built, not by guessing, but by testing, not by selling, but by solving. Before you go, if this story helped you see your potential customer differently, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Every week, I break down one African business case study into steps you can copy. No fluff, just field-tested ideas for entrepreneurs, job seekers, and anyone ready to build. Hit subscribe, and I will see you in part 2, where we talk about the cement that was too strong and why that was a problem. Title: The Cement That Was Too Strong and Why That Almost Killed the Business. Part 2, Testing in the Fire, Not in the Boardroom. What kills more products than competition? The answer is not price. It is pride. In 2008, Dangote Cement had a problem nobody saw coming. Their cement was too good. In parts of northern Nigeria, masons complained that the blocks were setting like rock too fast. They could not finish smoothing the surface before it hardened. Some stopped buying. Sales dipped in Kano and Kaduna. Other companies would have called it a win. Our product is superior. They would have printed certificates and ignored the complaints. Dangote did the opposite. They treated the complaint like a gold mine. Because identifying your potential customer is only half the battle. The other half is testing your product with them until the product fits their real life, not your lab report. Welcome to Part 2. In Part 1, we covered 3 principles. Start with a problem, map invisible buyers, and sell to future intention. Today we go deeper into how Dangote Cement in Nigeria tests products on real people, and why most companies test wrong. We will unpack principles 4, 5, and 6 of 8. We will compare Dangote's field tests to the conference room tests that sync other brands. And we will pull lessons you can use if you are unemployed, underemployed, or building your first product. Let us go to the sites where cement meets sweat. Principle 4. Test where it hurts, not where it is easy. Most companies test products in Lagos Island boardrooms. Dangote tests in Maiduguri during Harmattan and in Bayelsa during flooding. Why? Because your potential customer does not live in perfect conditions. After the 2 strong complaints from the north, Dangote's engineers did not fly in from Lagos with a PowerPoint. They moved to Kano for 90 days. They worked with masons at 5 a.m. when the air was cold and dry. They discovered something the lab missed. In low humidity, their grade 42.5 cement set faster than local masons were used to. The masons were right. The product was wrong for that climate. The Dangote difference. They segmented testing by region, weather, and skill level. They created a slightly slower setting variant for the north. They did not force one cement on the whole country. Compare with other companies. One imported brand sold the same cement in Port Harcourt's rain and Sokoto's heat. In Port Harcourt, blocks stayed damp and mold grew. In Sokoto, blocks cracked. Customers blamed fake cement. The company blamed bad mixing. Both lost. For you, do not test your idea with your friends. Test it with the person who will struggle most to use it. If a tired mother with 2 children cannot use your app, it is not simple enough. If a block maker with shaky power cannot use your machine, it is not ready. How to test it? Dangote's method is called live site pilots. Pick 3 tough locations. Give 20 users the product for free. Do not help them. Come back in 2 weeks. Write down every curse word, every workaround, every abandoned task. That list is your redesign brief. Lesson for entrepreneurs. Your first version should embarrass you. If it does not, you waited too long. Dangote launched, listened, and reformulated. Pride would have told them the customer is wrong. Profit told them the customer is the factory. Principle 5. Let competitors educate your customer. Then out-teach them. This sounds crazy, but Dangote Cement welcomes competitors. In 2012, when BUA and Lafarge pushed into Ogun State, Dangote increased its own training programs. Why? Because a confused customer is not a potential customer. A customer who understands cement is. Dangote realized that every new cement brand that advertised strength or fast drying was actually doing free education. The market was learning that not all cement is equal, but most competitors stopped at adverts. Dangote went further. They sent technical teams to explain when to use 42.5 versus 32.5 grade. They showed block makers how to test for quality with a simple water test. The Dangote difference. They do not just market, they teach. And when you teach the market trusts you. Compare with other companies. A certain foreign brand spent money on billboards that said, #1 in Europe. Nigerian block makers asked, but will it hold my 2-story? No answer. Sales flatlined. You cannot import trust. You have to build it one demo at a time. For you, if you are entering a crowded space, do not fear competitors. Fear an uneducated customer. Test your product by running free workshops. Teach people how to solve the problem, even if they do not buy from you today. The one who teaches becomes the standard. How to test it? Dangote calls it the 1-hour challenge. Can you teach a complete beginner to get value from your product in 1 hour? With no internet and no manual? They ran this with secondary school leavers in ABA. Those students became block makers. Those block makers became bulk buyers. Lesson for underemployed readers. Your knowledge is a product. Test it by teaching 5 people for free. If 3 can repeat the result without you, you have a business. If not, your product is still a hobby. Principle 6. Make your product fail in public, then fix it fast. In 2015, a batch of Dangote cement in Edo State absorbed moisture at the port. Some bags caked before they got to stores. Videos went online. Dangote is fake. Most companies would have sued bloggers. Dangote did 3 things in 7 days. 1. They recalled the batch publicly. 2. They replaced every bad bag and added 2 bags free for the trouble. 3. They opened their plant for journalists and block makers to see the new moisture-proof packaging they were rolling out. They turned a failure into a live product test, with Nigeria watching. The Dangote difference. They treat public failure as R&D. They do not hide. They iterate in the open. Compare with other companies. When a competing brand had similar caking issues in 2013, they went silent for 6 weeks. By the time they spoke, hardware stores had already switched suppliers. Trust, once broken, is expensive to buy back. For you, your first 100 customers are your test lab. Expect complaints. Design your response before you launch. Can you replace, refund, or fix within 48 hours? If not, you are not ready. How to test it? Dangote uses Red Flag Fridays. Every Friday, sales teams report the worst complaint they heard. The technical team must respond by Monday. That speed is why their market share keeps growing. Lesson for people on Social Security. You may fear starting because what if it fails? Reframe it. A small public fail with 10 customers teaches you more than a perfect plan with 0 customers. Fail cheap, fail early, fix loudly. The common thread. Dangote tests people, not just products. Notice something. In all 3 principles, Dangote cement in Nigeria is not testing cement. They are testing humans. Principle 4 tested how masons work in dry heat. Principle 5 tested how block makers learn. Principle 6 tested how customers forgive. Other companies test in labs and wonder why the market behaves differently. Labs do not sweat. Labs do not have deadline pressure. Labs do not have a mother-in-law asking, "Why is the house not finished?" Your potential customer is a human with emotions, habits, and shortcuts. If your test does not include those, you are flying blind. Quick comparison. A tech startup once built an easy loan app for traders. In the office, it took 2 minutes to apply. In ABA market, traders said, "I cannot type while selling." The app died. Dangote would have stood in ABA for a week before writing code. Your homework before part 3. 1. Find 3 people who have the problem you want to solve. Do not pitch. Watch them work for 1 hour. Write down every friction point. 2. Teach 1 person how to solve the problem without your product. If they win, they will remember you when your product arrives. 3. Plan your failure response now. What will you do if your first 10 customers complain? Write it down. In part 3, we will finish with principles 7 and 8. How Dangote uses price to filter, not to attract, and why they build for the next builder, who has not been born yet. Then we will expose the 3 deadly mistakes other companies make that blind them to real customers. And we will close with lessons you can apply this week, even with 0 capital. If part 1 and part 2 are changing how you see your market, imagine what the full picture will do. Do this now. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am dropping part 3 next week, and I will also share a free customer test checklist you can download. We will walk through Dangote's checklist line by line, so you can test your idea before you spend 1 naira. Do not build in the dark. Build with the market. See you in part 3. Title: The Customer You Cannot See Yet, and the Mistakes That Blind Everyone Else. Part 3. Building for the next generation and avoiding the traps. What is more dangerous than a competitor? A customer you never knew existed. In 2019, Dangote Cement opened a new plant in Akpela, Edo State. Analysts asked, "Why build here?" The region already has cement. Dangote's answer was simple. We are not building for today's builders. We are building for their children. That is the secret most companies miss. They fight for the customer who is buying right now. Dangote fights for the customer who is still in primary school. Welcome to part 3, the final part of our series. In part 1, we learned to start with the problem, map invisible buyers, and sell to future intention. In part 2, we saw how Dangote tests in harsh places, teaches the market, and fixes failures in public. Today we finish with principles 7 and 8. Then we expose 3 deadly mistakes other companies make when identifying potential customers and testing products. We will close with hard lessons you can use this week, whether you are unemployed, underemployed, on Social Security, or launching your first idea. If you have not read part 1 and part 2, go back after this, because the full picture is what separates businesses that survive from those that become case studies for failure. Let us finish the playbook. Principle 7. Use price to filter, not to beg. Most new businesses think price is how you attract customers. Dangote Cement in Nigeria thinks price is how you choose customers. Here is what that means. In 2004, imported cement was cheaper per bag in some markets. Dangote could have cut price to match. They did not. Instead, they explained. They showed block makers that one bag of Dangote gave 8 more blocks than the cheap brand because it was stronger and needed less sand. Cost per block was actually lower. The Dangote difference. They taught customers to calculate total cost to finish, not price per bag. The right customers stayed. The wrong customers left. And that was okay. Compare with other companies. A competitor entered Port Harcourt in 2011 with a massive price slash. Hardware stores rushed to stock it. 3 months later, builders complained of cracks. The stores lost trust. The brand lost the market. They used price to beg for attention, not to filter for fit. For you, your price should repel the wrong person and attract the right one. Test your product by asking, who complains about price but stays anyway? Those are your real potential customers. The ones who leave at the first discount were never yours. How to test it? Dangote runs cost-to-finish clinics. They bring a mason, a block maker, and a landlord together. They build a small 4x4 test wall with different cements. They count blocks, time, and water used. Then they show the math. The cement that looked expensive becomes the cheapest. Lesson for entrepreneurs. Do not compete on price if you cannot win on cost. Test by showing total value. If you sell food, do not say cheapest jollof. Say one plate keeps you full for 6 hours. Let the customer do the math. Lesson for underemployed readers. You are not cheap labor. Price yourself by the problem you remove. Test by offering a result guarantee to one client. If you deliver, raise your price for the next client. Principle 8. Build for the next builder who has not been born yet. Go to any Dangote cement depot and you will see something odd. School children on excursions. Why? Because Dangote is not just selling to today's mason. They are planting a brand in the mind of tomorrow's engineer, contractor, and homeowner. They sponsor technical colleges. They fund Catch Them Young programs where students mix cement and cure blocks. They give scholarships to children of longtime distributors. They are not being nice. They are being strategic. The Dangote difference. They define potential customers across generations. A 10-year-old who touches cement today becomes a 30-year-old who specifies cement tomorrow. Compare with other companies. Many brands do CSR by donating bags to flood victims. Good, but it ends there. No relationship. No memory. Dangote builds relationships before the need exists. For you, ask, who will need my solution 5 years from now? And how can I meet them today? If you teach hairdressing, run free classes for teenagers. If you make apps, host coding clubs. Test your idea by planting it in a community, not just a customer. How to test it? Dangote tracks brand mentioned by age group. Every year, they survey secondary schools. Name one cement brand. In regions where they run school programs, 90% say Dangote. In regions they do not, the number drops to 40%. That is a test. Lesson for people on Social Security. Your experience is a future product. Test by mentoring one young person in your old field. If they succeed because of your advice, you have a customer segment, the next generation. Package that mentorship. 3 deadly mistakes other companies make. Now that you have the 8 principles, let us talk about why others fail. Dangote Cement in Nigeria did not invent cement. They just avoided these traps. Mistake 1. They fall in love with their guess. A company assumes Lagos builders want fast-setting cement because Lagos is busy. They launch. They fail. Why? They never asked a Lagos mason. Dangote calls this boardroom blindness. You design for a customer you imagined, not the one who exists. The fix: before you spend ₦1, do a 3-no talk test. Visit 3 potential customers. Say nothing about your idea. Watch them for 30 minutes. If you still believe your guess after that, proceed. If not, adjust. Mistake 2. They test with free, then expect paid. Another brand gave away 1,000 bags of cement in Abuja. Everyone clapped. When the promo ended, nobody bought. Why? Free attracts everyone, including people who will never pay. Dangote rarely gives full product free. They give knowledge free, but product at a reduced risk. Pay after you sell is not free. It is trust. The fix: never test with 0 friction. Make the customer give something: time, data, a small deposit. If they will not risk ₦500 today, they will not risk 5,000 tomorrow. Mistake 3. They scale before they understand. A startup saw success with 50 users in Yaba and opened 10 states next month. They collapsed. They scaled a product that only worked in Yaba. Dangote spent years understanding Sagamu before going national. They knew which regions needed slower-setting cement, which needed stronger bags for bad roads, which needed smaller trucks for tight streets. The fix: use the 1-3-many rule. Win in 1 street, then 3 communities, only then many cities. If you cannot explain why it works in location 1, you have no business in location 2. Lessons learned you can apply this week. Let us turn this case study into action. Whether you have a job or not, you can start today. Lesson 1. Your first customer is not a stranger. Dangote's first big buyers were people he had traded with for years in other goods. Start with who knows you. Test your idea with your barber, your church member, your former boss. Trust travels faster than ads. Lesson 2. Document the pain, not just the sale. Dangote's teams write pain reports from the field. You should too. Carry a notebook for 7 days. Every time you see someone frustrated, write it down. In 1 week, you will have more business ideas than you can handle. Lesson 3. Small tests beat big plans. Dangote did not build a 10 million ton plant on day 1. They started with trading, then grinding, then full production. What is your version of just trading? Can you resell someone else's product for 30 days to learn the market? Can you offer the service manually before you build software? Lesson 4. Teach to sell. If you cannot explain it to a 12-year-old, you do not understand it. Practice teaching your idea in 1 minute. Record yourself. If you stumble, your customer will too. Dangote's masons can explain grade 42.5 in Pidgin. Can you explain your value that simply? Lesson 5. Failure is a feature, not a flaw. Plan your apology before you plan your launch. Dangote had replacement trucks ready before the first bad batch news hit. What is your "we messed up" plan? Write the email now. It will make you bold. Closing: the nation you are building. Dangote Cement did not just sell stone. They sold the belief that an ordinary Nigerian could build something that lasts. That belief was tested in the sun of Kano, in the rain of Port Harcourt, in the comments of angry customers, and in the silence of empty markets. Each test made the product stronger and the customer clearer. You do not need a factory to do the same. You need eyes to see problems, ears to hear complaints, and the humility to test before you boast. Your potential customer is out there. They are mixing too much sand. They are waiting for a truck that will not come. They are paying for a solution that does not fit. Find them, watch them, serve them, and remember, the richest opportunities hide in the hardest places. Final step: subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Next week, I am releasing the Dangote Customer Test Checklist as a free PDF. I will walk you through all 8 principles with worksheets you can use for your Acra stand, your fashion brand, your tech idea, or your farm. We will turn these stories into steps. Because ideas are cheap, testing is everything.